If certain animals keep appearing around your business, your home, or your workplace, money can vanish before you even notice it's gone. Most people dismiss these signs, and by the time the truth hits, the damage is already done. And no, this has nothing to do with superstition. This isn't coincidence. This is a signal system most believers were never taught to recognize. When I finally understood it, it unsettled me. After years inside witchcraft systems, after witnessing firsthand how spiritual monitoring is carried out, how actions and even intentions are tracked, I discovered a truth most churches never discuss. A reality that goes unnoticed because it's subtle, almost invisible, until it's too late. Animals are not always random. The crow that appears at the edge of your property, the rat that slips through a tiny crack. They are signals, patterns meant to communicate more than you think. At first, I ignored them. I thought I was seeing meaning where there was none. But the losses told me otherwise. The numbers that disappeared, the accounts that were touched without a trace, they all pointed to the same conclusion. These signs are warnings. And if you miss them, the consequences unfold before you even realize you've been compromised. There are specific animals that appear before financial loss, not during, before. Before the late fees, before the unexplained withdrawals, before the deal collapses without a clear reason. I didn't believe this at first. I had to see the pattern repeat itself, again and again, across different people, different places, different outcomes. Business owners, families, ministries, every testimony sounded isolated until you lined them up. What happens next is never sudden. It's quiet, gradual, a series of small permissions given without awareness. A door left open because nothing looked wrong yet. And that's how it works. There are 3 animals that consistently appear before money is touched. Each one carries a different function, a different role, a different warning. The first one signals attention, the second one confirms access, and the third one is the most dangerous because people usually welcome it. They feed it, they name it, they joke about it, they never suspect it. I've heard the confessions after the damage was done, people replaying the moment they should have paid attention, the moment they brushed it off, the moment they felt uneasy but chose comfort instead. This isn't fear-based storytelling. This is pattern recognition learned the hard way. And the reason I won't explain the third one yet is because once you recognize it, you can't unsee it. I'll explain that one later. The first time I saw this used, I thought it was harmless. A stray crow, hopping around a shop front, nothing more. I laughed it off. Thought it was coincidence, a fluke. I didn't see anything dangerous in it. At least, not yet. The second time, the business collapsed within weeks. Every ledger perfectly balanced one moment. The next, losses that made no sense on paper. People left, employees vanished, suppliers grew suspicious. And there, again, was the same animal. The same small signal I had brushed aside the first time. This time, it felt deliberate. The third time, even prayer didn't stop the loss immediately. I watched as someone I trusted watched helplessly while their account drained. And that's when the truth hit me. The animals weren't bringing messages. They weren't warnings in the conventional sense. They were markers. Markers placed to indicate where attention would be stolen, where vulnerability would appear. I remember sitting in silence that night, thinking back to every encounter I had ignored. Every crow, every rat, every small sign I had dismissed. Each one was a coordinate on a map I couldn't see at first. A map of loss and influence. They were tracking the movement of resources, of energy, of intention, long before the theft itself was executed. And I realized this isn't something people are meant to notice until it's almost too late. And that's why the third one, the one most people welcome, is so dangerous. It moves unnoticed, it earns trust. It doesn't just signal where the loss will happen, it sets the stage for it, quietly preparing the environment so that when the moment comes, there's nothing to block it. I've seen it repeatedly. The markers appear, people ignore them. Small amounts vanish, then larger amounts, then accounts, possessions, sometimes entire livelihoods. The process is methodical, precise, and if you know where to look, you can trace the sequence, see the markers, predict the outcome, and potentially stop it before it happens. But most people never look closely enough. They miss the first one, they dismiss the second, and by the time the third appears, the damage is already in motion. And yet, it isn't always too late. Only if you understand the sequence, the signs, and the function of each marker can you take action. That's when I understood. The animals are sometimes markers, not messengers, and everything I had believed about coincidence, chance, and bad luck had to be reconsidered. There was a small business owner, hardworking, prayerful, careful with every detail of their life and livelihood. Everything seemed ordinary. Nothing strange, nothing to suggest danger. And then the animals began appearing. At first, it was a single crow on the fence, a rat darting across the back alley. The owner paused, watched, and dismissed it. Just coincidence, they thought. Then the appearances became repeated, more frequent, closer. On the property itself, sometimes peering through windows. Strange, unsettling, yet still easy to ignore. And the owner did ignore it, telling themselves it was harmless. Confusion settled in first, a knot of unease in the stomach that couldn't be named. Then came dismissal, the rational mind convincing them it was nothing more than random activity. Days passed, then weeks, and still the signs continued, small, almost innocuous but consistent. Each time, the owner's sense of timing and control frayed just slightly. Then came the delay, the moment when ignoring the signs no longer seemed optional, because the losses had begun. Not small amounts, but sums that shook the business's foundation. Accounts that balanced perfectly one day were empty the next. Suppliers grew concerned, employees noticed. And all along, the animals had been there. Silent witnesses, markers of a process set in motion long before the first dollar disappeared. By the time the owner realized what was happening, the sign had already been given. The warning missed, the opportunity to intervene lost. And the sense of helplessness, of being watched and maneuvered without seeing it clearly, settled like a weight over every decision made from that point onward. The emotions were raw, tangled, impossible to ignore. Confusion, because nothing made sense. Dismissal, because instinct told them to laugh it off. Delay, because the danger felt distant, almost unreal. And yet the losses proved that it had been very real and very close the whole time. If you've noticed strange patterns you couldn't explain, moments that didn't sit right, signs you brushed aside because they felt inconvenient, type "I'm watching" in the comments. This is not for everyone. In witchcraft systems, animals are sometimes used to mark timing, location, and readiness. This isn't about rituals you've seen in movies, it's about function, quiet, deliberate function. First comes observation. A presence appears where resources are concentrated, where movement is predictable, where habits are easy to learn. Nothing is touched yet, nothing is taken, it's simply watched. Then comes permission. Not spoken out loud, not written down. Permission is granted through neglect, through dismissal, through delay. When the sign is noticed and brushed aside, access quietly opens, and then comes confirmation. That's when repetition happens, the same presence, same place, same timing. It's no longer checking, it's verifying. This is how readiness is established. Once the sign appears, the countdown begins. Not to chaos, not to sudden loss, but to a scheduled outcome, something already decided, already mapped, already set in motion. And here's the part that still troubles me. Most people don't pray when the sign appears. They smile, they laugh, they take pictures, they celebrate the moment as harmless, even comforting. They welcome what should have caused them to pause. And by the time they realize something was wrong, the timing has already been confirmed. There is one animal sign that means the loss is already scheduled, but people see it and think it's a blessing. They smile when they should pause. They welcome what they should fear. And in doing so, they give permission without knowing it. I won't explain that one yet. Not until you understand everything that leads up to it, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. This time, the signs were ignored. One after another, small presences appearing where they shouldn't. Quiet, subtle, yet impossible to miss if you were paying attention. Prayer was delayed. Hesitation crept in. Rationalizations filled the gaps. It's nothing, they said. It'll pass. And in that pause, the process continued unnoticed. By the time action was finally taken, the damage had already started. Accounts were touched, resources drained, decisions made under false assumptions. Before, there was peace, consistency, a sense of control. Every ledger balanced, every plan unfolding as expected. Life moved with predictable rhythm. After, confusion, leakage, unexpected expenses. Anxiety settled in, trust fractured. Every small decision became a minefield. The sense of safety vanished almost overnight, replaced with a creeping awareness that someone or something had been orchestrating from the shadows all along. And all of it could have been mitigated if the signs had been recognized, if hesitation had been replaced with attention, if the markers had been understood for what they were. If this is opening your eyes, if you're starting to see patterns you ignored before, comment, light. Someone you know needs to see this. Someone who's been missing the signs, brushing off what matters most. The most dangerous animal sign is the one people don't resist. They post it. They laugh about it. They normalize it. It feels harmless, familiar, almost comforting. That's why it stays. That's why no one challenges it. And that's exactly why the attack works. Not every animal is a sign, but repetition matters. Timing matters. Location matters. It's not about fear. It's about paying attention to patterns instead of dismissing them. Spiritual warfare is not panic, it's awareness. It's recognizing when something appears too often, too close, and at moments that affect movement, finances, or decisions. Because once you recognize the sign early, the outcome can change. Delay can be interrupted. Access can be closed. And what was scheduled doesn't always have to finish. Awareness doesn't make you afraid. It makes you prepared. In the next video, I'll reveal how believers shut down these signals permanently, without fear, without rituals, and without confusion. Like this video so others don't miss the warning. Subscribe, because what's coming next completes this revelation.